working in the factory, Wilkes County every day. The factory moved to a foreign land and they took my job away. Give me hope, give me strength, and the faith when I need it most. Take my hand, I wanna feel more than iron and steel. Give me one more kiss to keep me holding on. One more kiss. Last night I heard her crying in the bedroom where we sleep. Held her tight in a midnight light, a little comfort while we weep. There's nothing I could tell her she don't already know. This factory town gonna burn it down. Makes my soul. Give me hope, give me strength, I'm safe when I need it most. Take my hand, I won't feel more than iron and steel. And give me one more kiss to hold it on. Just one more kiss. Can't afford the rent no more. They took away our car. And the job I've got pays just the minimum wage, and on that you can't go far. So nights I go out walking down old River Road. Where would I be? I sit and wonder, Lord only knows. Give me hope, give me strength, and the faith when I need it most. Take my hand, I wanna feel more than iron and steel. Just give me one more kiss. Give me one more kiss. Give me one more kiss. Just keep me holding on. And I pray, keep me holding on. Keep me holding on. Keep me holding on.
Man, I'm telling you, that is insanely cool. Everybody,
Party music.
that is River Road. It is from the brand new album called Deep in the Water by the Gary Douglas Band, and you've got to go get it. It's on everywhere that you can get music. Go to GaryDouglasBand.com. We're excited to have Gary join us here on Big Blend Radio's Champagne Sundays today, show today, because now we need more champagne.
And music.
Yeah. Gary, welcome. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, we're
Looking forward to
excited.
some champagne.
Yeah, we need a lot of champagne for this album. It is badass. Deep in the water, everyone. And what you're doing. Can I be you when I grow up? Like, I want to take out DuPont. That's amazing.
I'm not fully grown up yet, so I don't know.
I know.
That's a good thing.
We never really want
But thank
to,
you for the kind words. That's really, really nice of you to say.
You know, the album is absolutely fantastic. I've been excited to have you on the show all day. I'm like, come on, because it's one of those albums that, number one, you can get on the road with, and you're just
perfect.
You are going to get a speeding ticket probably, but
it'll be worth it.
We can do Texas with the album.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we can cross country.
That's such a long drive.
Exactly. I guess that's what I was thinking of. Being in the car and putting the pedal to the metal and thinking about that.
It speaks to everyone. I think it's something that we can all, just connect with immediately. And that's one of those albums you put it in, and you're off and running with it, and that's it. You're connected with it. And I think that's always exciting when an album just connects with you immediately like that.
It's got that galloping, the horse gallop rhythm going on there.
Yeah.
We used to train our horses to music like that.
Mhm. Yeah. That's what we'll do. Gary will send your music to horse trainers everywhere, okay?
That's great.
So this is
I haven't
exciting.
ridden a horse in a long time.
Well, hey, I know, me neither. It's actually harder than we remember. Last time I got it, I was like, oh, I didn't know I had these muscles.
Yeah, I know. Now it hurts.
I know. But tell us about the album, who you worked with on the album. I know you're touring right now with it, aren't you?
Yeah, we're doing, we're doing shows with Los Lonely Boys, which is great. We're just out on the West Coast in California. Cool. Doing some shows with their wonderful audiences, and that's been great. And on the East Coast with Donna the Buffalo, which is a real great, legendary East Coast band. And so we've been having a lot of fun and going to some great towns and cities around the country and bringing this album. And, hopefully, and I think we are making that connection wherever we go, which is a great and fun and rewarding thing.
Cool. That's cool. And tell us who's in your band. Is it the same people that you recorded the album with?
Some of the folks that did the record with us, tour with us, and my core band. And then, although folks from the Mavericks, Raul Malo played guitar. He's not. I mean, obviously, he's not. He's touring with the Mavericks, but he was a very big part of the record, and it was great to work with him. We had Southside Johnny, the legendary Southside Johnny, playing some harmonica. People don't, folks that know Springsteen obviously know who Southside is, and so a lot of people who know him know that he is one of the greatest harmonica players today, and so we brought him in to do some harmonica work on the record, and we've toured so much with him and his band, so that was sort of a natural thing.
Fun.
So so sort of like a split. Some of the guys that recorded are in the band, and then we had some really special guest artists who did some work for the album.
And did you record it? Where did you record this?
This was recorded in Blackbird Studios, also the legendary studio in Nashville, which is the first time I've ever done any recording there. It's always inspiring to be in that city. It's just such great musical history, and the studio just reeks of all those great players that have set foot in that studio. And it was produced by Nico Bolas, who's also one of the greats, and Neil Young's longtime producer, and so many others. And it was great to work with Darryl Brown, who co-wrote most of the songs, probably about 3/4 of the songs on the record. Darryl, of course, being a Grammy Award-winning songwriter, written so many hits for Leanne Rimes and Keith Urban and so many others. So it was great. That was also a great experience. I usually write alone, and so this was sort of a different experience for me to open up my mind to work with somebody else and take a song in a different direction. It was a growth experience too. So, those are some of the folks we worked with on the album. It was just a great experience.
And I love the whole thing. It's just, you've got a little bit of everything in it. But you can't peg it down to this is this kind of, to me it's just like a little bit of everything in there. You got a little funk in some of the songs, and just, it's just really quality. And I think, when you look at who you're performing and recording with, it's like, wow, you can't go wrong with this, So to me, this is just one of those delicious, delicious albums that people should go and get. And River Road, it's like, what a way to open it, Deep in the Water, I want to play that, too, while you're here. Tell everyone about that and the name of the album.
So, as I think you alluded to at the start of this interview, my other job is I've been a lawyer, a trial lawyer. I've been doing that for many years. Got away from playing music, had to make a living, and went to law school and became a trial lawyer. And I tried case. I ended up doing stuff in the area of environmental law. We've taken on the evil chemical giant corporations and the evil pharmaceutical corporations.
Cool.
And,
awesome.
and,
they are
I'm
evil.
blessed.
They are so evil.
When you really hear how deliberate they are in terms of and calculating they are, and that's what happens when jurors get to hear the real facts. People are blown away. So this story, Deep in the Water, it has to do with the DuPont, who everybody knows, one of the biggest corporations in the world. For decades, had been dumping a chemical, it's called C8, into the Ohio River, and it would get into the groundwater, and therefore the drinking water of the communities along the Ohio River. Hardworking folks who for decades didn't know, and DuPont went out and tried their best to conceal it and hide it and lie about it. Like you just can't even make this stuff up. One of the worst cases of corporate malfeasance in American history. So we won that case, and we got billions in recovery for the towns and the people. And so that's what the song's about, Deep in the Water, because nobody knew for decades that Deep in the Water was this chemical that they were drinking. They go to the water faucet and drink something. They make a can of Campbell's soup and half water, half, anything, boiling an egg or making spaghetti. The poison in the water would get into their food, would get into their water, and get into their bodies. And this is a chemical that causes cancer. Wow. And it doesn't leave the body; it stays in the body. So that was the concept. It's deep in the water, and one of the lines is the truth is lying, and it's deep in the water. And so that sort of tells the story. It all started, just tell me to stop when it gets too long. But it all started with this farmer who's noticed all the cows. He had sold his part of his property to DuPont so that they could use it as a dump. And then all his cows and livestock started to die. And it all started with that one guy and took decades. And he ended up dying of cancer himself. So that's what the story's about, that farmer who started this to reveal the truth.
It just, it is beyond the average person's imagination to even, I know people that you can talk to, and I'm sure you do as well, that will say, oh, that would never happen in this country. And that there is that denial attitude. We have friends like that. Oh, well, no, the government would never do that or allow this or allow that. And we've lived outside of this country. We've lived in 3-4 other countries, and then we've lived here. And I just have to say, governments will do whatever they damn well want to.
Well, yeah, whoever sent, it's interesting because when you look at these, giants like DuPont, Monsanto, and now Monsanto's changed their name,
Bayer,
and everyone Bayer's Monsanto, and now they're here. They moved next door to us here in Tucson, and they're telling everybody how good they are for everybody.
Oh yeah,
and doing this big PR campaign. And it's crazy. Like you're watching this going, this is absolutely nuts. And yet,
it's just one lie
there
after
are
another.
truths, there's science, there's soil samples. And what's scary about, water is it goes into everything. Gary, when the Dakota Access Pipeline issue happened, we're a Champaign show, but we do take on environmental things all the time. And we had a representative from the Red Warrior camp call in from the pipeline, and it was at the time when they unleashed these dogs on people. It was terrible what was going on there. Terrible. And it was that message of water is life is key. And yet I couldn't believe it. You saw everyone come together, ranchers, different tribes, all these people come together because of the water. I mean, it's really the same. When we were looking in who was behind the Dakota Access Pipeline, we started to realize it was every single bank, every oil company, people that you wouldn't even think of were connected. Is that the same thing with DuPont, or is it just them on their own?
No, it permeates everything. It permeates the environment, and it permeates every aspect of business and corporations. And they infiltrate the government. The agencies that are supposed to protect us are actually being, especially today, but we wouldn't get too politically divisive, but they are being run by the polluters.
Exactly.
The EPA is being run by the people who work for the companies that polluted the environment.
Exactly.
And so it's like the chicken, the fox in the hen house. That's exactly what's happened, and that's how it happens. And we have this false, you alluded to this, we have this false sense that it could never happen in America, but it does happen all the time. And then
it's happened for years.
Well, and one of the things, like when we tried these cases, we tried them in deep Republican conservative areas where people tend to not like lawsuits. And these were the jurors, but they were so offended when they hear what about the unscrupulous conduct of these companies, because they are good people, and they think that they expect that the companies in their towns and neighborhoods are good, and they're shocked when they hear that they've been deceived. And these are the jurors that that awarded these punitive damages, large awards. Because people are good. People are good, and they, but these corporations can be evil. So that's sort of what that song is about,
Yeah, I want to play it for everyone. Go ahead, Nancy.
No, I was just going to say, when these big corporations, like we have a lot of mining companies and such out here, when they come into a town, they almost own the town, because now there's here's
exactly
the job.
What they do. That's their MO. They like to find a little town, and that's what DuPont did in this case. In Parkersburg, West Virginia, so that they basically everybody's indebted to them, everybody's employed by them, or is related to somebody that's employed by them. And this farmer went to lawyer after lawyer in his town to say, "Hey, I think DuPont is doing something to the water because my cows are dying." And lawyer after lawyer said, "Sorry, can't help you. Close the door on your way out." And he ended up having to go outside to the big city, which for him was Cincinnati, and found a lawyer and actually they're making a movie about this whole thing. Mark Wahlberg's going to be playing that lawyer who he ended up hiring, and how he fought for years and then brought me in to try the cases. Anyway.
This is amazing. So you, as a trial lawyer, right? Are you able to go into different states? It doesn't matter. So are you national in regards to what you can do?
Oh yeah, I'm all over the place.
Cool.
We go everywhere because that's where everywhere is where all the bad shit happens.
Yeah, it's exactly it. Well, what we do, we travel to parks and we're about to go on the road full time, and we're documenting parks, national parks and forests and everything, and we did it for 3 years, came back to do some production, going back on the road again, and our inspiration for it was that we saw, backlogs of, maintenance backlogs that are insane that's happening to our parks, but also fighting for things like don't go do fracking outside Chaco Culture National Historical Park, one of the most ancient places that we have culturally. They want to frack out there, then they want to do uranium mining, and then you will find later that here comes cancer. The Hopi, the Navajo generating station, the amount of people that were sick, and because now it's affecting reservations, that was a whole other thing too. So are you able to work with the different tribes as well?
Well, it's not something that we're involved in, but we're certainly, we've done cases all over the country. So it doesn't. We're not. We are a national firm, and I travel to Columbus, Ohio, Florida, Pennsylvania, California. I have a litany of cases we've done, and this DuPont thing is just one of the more recent ones.
And you're in the Hall of Fame. I didn't know there was a Hall of Fame for you guys, but there should be, and I'm glad there is, because to me this is such an important thing that you do. Because you go out there, and a lot of times people don't think they can win. the man on the street never gets that shot, and you're proving that that's not the case. That you can win these things, and you can go up against these giants that are killing people. So I think that's important.
That's the other part about let's not to be too down on our country. On the other hand, we do have a system of justice where the little guy can stand toe to toe with the big corporation and kick them in the butt.
Cool.
And get some justice. So not always, but it's not perfect, but
at least there's a shot.
And every time you do try, doesn't that create a case too? So that if because this stuff never goes away, right? It just keeps, because they've got their fingers in everything. So like if maybe a case didn't go as well as you wanted, it's kind of helps build for the next time round.
Yeah, I mean they know we're sort of like levels the playing field, But so companies, there are plenty of companies that are responsible and ethical, and we don't hear about those companies because they don't harm anyone. So we it has an effect on a lot of corporate America that do act responsibly.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the other ones that they'll just try harder to cheat, until they get caught. It's just human nature, I guess. But
wow, let's play Deep in the Water. I want everyone to hear this. We love it. We want to play this. You know how many shows that we're going to be playing this? I just want a big megaphone.
Appreciate that.
I want everyone to hear this. So stay on the line, Gary. We're going to play Deep in the Water, and then let's talk about Nothing Ever Goes as Planned. That's like, that should be on a T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
Here it is, everyone.
Yeah.
Deep in the Water.
Man-made chemicals, they're poisoning the earth. Chemists move molecules around like we move furniture. After we're dead and gone, it will be here a million years. We'll all be dead and gone. Cried a billion tears. Those tears are flowing deep in the water. Deep in the water. Flowing deep in the water. Flowing deep in the water. And devil with your suit and tie, know your wicked little game. That farming man you sold your lives to, with his blood you signed with his name. Filled his line with toxic waste, black foam bubbled from his streams. Killed off all his livestock and you killed off all his dreams. Those dreams all drowning deep in the water. Drowning deep in the water. I said now, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, the truth is lying deep in the water. For all those folks in Parkersburg, cut down to their knees, there's a special place in hell for you, for raping decency. I'm not your puppet. nightmare agitators. And we're rising up from deep in the water, rising up deep in the water, singing brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, the truth is rising in the water.
Everyone, that is Deep in the Water by Gary Douglas. Go to GaryDouglasBand.com. Gary, you're such a badass. Sorry, I have to say that, but it's true. God, it's just such good music, and the fact that it's coupled with you taking on these dudes, it just is awesome. I'm in awe of it because I think the music resonates and keeps the message out there, and I think it's really important because from what I'm gathering with what's going on, like with the EPA and the lack of rules in that now, and it's so funny when you think that Richard Nixon actually signed the EPA into being there. When you look at that, the more that these protections, these bills, these actual protections are being stripped away, how hard does that make it for you, for your job?
Well, I mean, it's frustrating to see that happen. It's just crazy. Like you said, even a Republican signed a bill to create the EPA to protect the environment, and now it's being completely dismantled and taken apart at like the worst of all possible times because, with global warming and climate change, we need to lead the world in terms of, showing that we don't put profits before people. It's not just about the stock market. It's about, breathing clean air and drinking clean water, and being decent people, and not harming people.
It would be good if people would pull their money out of the stock market if they're invested in any of these companies, and would also be good not to buy their products. That's the only way I see things really stopping.
How connected is it to the banks? Because with the Dakota Access Pipeline, we really went into this rabbit hole. This gentleman came on the show. We didn't even have a show scheduled that day, but we're like, we have to cover this now. And we started digging into it, and that's when we realized all the banks are in some way connected. So when you look at DuPont and things like that, can we as consumers kind of look at that part too, so we know who not to bank with? But then you're really not going to have a bank because they're all in it.
I mean, every case is different. DuPont has more money than the banks, so they don't. There are certain situations where banks have such a vested interest in a company that they are, in bed. But DuPont has. So, they are one of the richest corporations in the history of the world. They're not. So there's no bank trail for them. It's all them, and
Wow.
And
so they
and
own
the money they have.
And
they own a lot of things.
Yeah.
They put you have their chemical in your body. This chemical C8 is what they call something that doesn't. It's not biodegradable, to use a sort of a late term. It doesn't. It doesn't degrade. It just stays in the environment forever. And if you ingest it, it stays in your body till the day you die. It does not get processed. So it has ended up all over the world. They find it in polar bears, in the North Pole. And everybody has a level of this chemical C8 body, especially the ones near the factories and all that stuff, obviously, or have it at extremely high levels.
This is just like that case, the Hinckley outside of Barstow, the Erin Brockovich thing when she went after it, and I mean they're still sick. Hinckley's, it's happening again. It's starting all over again in the same place. I can't believe it. It blows my mind. And I look at Michigan, I look at, all of these things, and I'm like, having these trials, number one, like you're saying, justice can be served. I think it's such we need those victories so that we can move forward and we can have some hope of fighting these kinds of things and standing up against it. And yeah, things are political, but this is about living or dying, period. I look, and
regardless of what party you are.
I'm in my early 40s, and I'm losing friends left, right, and center in my age group and younger.
Yeah.
And that's that didn't happen 10 years ago. Something is wrong. The cancer is coming in so many ways. Yeah, it is, man. They're too young.
And it's latent, so it takes time to cause the harm, but it's there.
Well, thank God for music and good trial lawyers. So, Gary, let's talk about your music. I'm all like, if I drove a car right now, we'd be in trouble.
Yeah,
I would definitely get a ticket. No, but I'm definitely your album is going across Texas.
Yeah, for sure.
It's one of those that you can. There's certain albums that you could just keep playing over and over again, and there's certain ones, and you definitely have one of those albums where you could just keep going. And, you'll get across the state. You don't have to change anything. You don't have to touch a dial. You just keep going. You will have to have a bathroom break at some point. I know. But listen, talk about your music. Tell us about the beginning. So this was something you were doing as a kid?
I mean, I've always played music, and really that's what I did. Before I went to law school, that's all I did. I was a full-time musician. And then at some point, somebody in my office, a paralegal who is now a very successful singer in her own right, Clara LaFaro, she came to see one of my summations, which are legendary, so to speak. I always try to do stuff outside the box, not stand there like I'm reading a speech. I try and be engaged and animated and different.
Cool. I want to watch.
And reach the hearts and minds of people. So she came to see some big case and was being covered by the press and all this stuff, and it was one of my better days. I mean, it's like a performance. It really is. And you give when you're done, when you're doing it the right way. It's like it is a performance, and you should be exhausted when you're done. At the end of the case, it's the climax at the end, and everything's riding on it. And so she said to me, "You're like a performer. Did you ever perform?" And I said, "Yeah, I've been a musician." And she said, "Well, you've got to get back into that because that was, riveting." And so I said, "You know what? Maybe I will." And I started to do it. So this is a few years ago, about 5 years ago. I put together a band and started to get back into it. And it's really kind of the same thing that I do. As you can tell, my songs are about, the daily struggle of life people face. I've been through it, others have been through it, and connecting with people through the words and lyrics, the lyrics and the music, in the same way that, I've always done it in a courtroom. Connecting with people. That's the common thing between the two things that I do. And I guess after doing that in the courtroom for so long, I was really comfortable now being on stage and doing sort of the same thing.
Wow.
So
the connection part is I mean, that's the thing. When I put your album in, I go to listen, and it's like you have that automatic spark of connectivity, but it's not just the spark; it continues on, and I think that's a real talent. It means that you're open and to people, because you can't relate to people if you're not relatable, if you don't know them, if you don't take that time with them. So it shows that you know people. Like, it's salt of the earth music, That's it really is, and that's.
Well, it's always comforting to know that other people are struggling or been through the same thing, and that's one of the. I mean, that's one of the great joys of life is when you can connect with other people and you realize you're part of a society, not just, some freak who's experiencing something weird that nobody else experiences. And when you realize that, no, this is the struggle that we all face and we're all in this together, there's a great sense of satisfaction and feeling in spite of even bad times.
And musically, I mean, with your work as a trial lawyer and looking at DuPont and these people, like I have a sailor's mouth anyway. I would be really bad if I was like in your shoes, like, So does music help keep your balance in regards to balancing when you have to look at what these people do? Like it's and and you connect with the people, the victims of DuPont, and you're connecting with them. It's got to touch you, and yet you still have to have that balance and be able to deliver that summation. You got to deliver, but isn't that still like, does music help you just kind of handle it all?
It's like it definitely works as an outlet too. When I'm in a hotel room for 2 months on a trial somewhere, and it's frustrating, and you're working, and you just pick up the guitar in the hotel room and play something, write something. It's a great outlet for that to keep your sanity. So, and some of these songs are written that way. When I'm in those moments. So definitely, that's true.
Did you ever receive any kind of threats from DuPont? I'm just wondering.
Go, Nancy.
Well, no, because there's instances of when people stand up that there are threats.
I think that's why a lot of people don't want to stand up.
Exactly.
I have no doubt. I won't say specific. I mean, I've been involved in cases against DuPont, against the big tobacco, against big pharma, and I have no doubt that they have their people that have, they have their private investigators that do and work, and they have a book on me and folks like me, and they definitely try. And I won't say we haven't been threatened. But they do play for real. They do accuse me of stuff, come to court and try and accuse me of things and get my license taken away or sanctioned, or they are not friendly. They play for real. It's hardball. So they do.
Yeah, I figured that.
Not all of them, but it does happen, and you do have to be careful.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so let's talk about your next song that we're going to play, Nothing Ever Goes as Planned. I do want to put that on a T-shirt. That's the saying of life. Nancy's got a saying is, what could go wrong?
Yeah, really.
That's our saying over here.
What could go wrong? Everything.
No kidding. And then as soon as you say it, and we always kind of say it, like right before we make a decision to do something different, we're like, well, what could go wrong? And then all of a sudden it all comes down on you.
Never say it. And never say the words, bring it. Don't.
Oh, no.
I should never have said that.
Oh, don't do that.
Yeah. That's how I broke my arm. Anyway, it's true. There's a true story on that. But yeah, tell us about Nothing Ever Goes as Planned.
Well, I was literally watching the news, CNN, MSNBC, Fox, flipping around to it, and every network is like this shit. It's just like, there was Charlottesville and this and all kinds of, the stuff we've all seen in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Riots, protests, this the right wing, the left wing, centrists, whatever. Everybody's pissed off, and cops are getting shot. Young black men are getting shot. It's just crazy. And then it's like, this is supposed to be the promised land, where everybody gets an opportunity to live a free and prosperous life, enriched.
What happened?
And so it's what happened, and here in the promised land, nothing ever goes as planned. That's really the reality.
But, I have to say, we left this country at one point and we lived in 4 other countries. And when we came back, I have to say what we came back to is not in any way, shape, or form the country that we left. I don't know what happened when we were gone, but seriously, this is not the America I grew up in. It is not.
Yeah, no, people are at a fever pitch and screaming, hollering, yelling on social media. Less tolerance for people.
Yeah.
You know, people and their own friends are no longer friends. People
I know.
are no longer friends with their family.
People, there's a division over things, and you know, this is why we need champagne on Sundays. People need that. A little bit more bubbles in your life.
Every night.
Yeah, something to loosen up. You know, whatever it is, go for a walk. But some steam is like. It's not like people just letting off steam and maybe being angry. It feels like it's like a non-stopping cycle of anger.
Maybe it's the chemicals in the water.
It could be the chemicals. We interviewed remember it was a doctor who used to come on our show all the time, and he was talking about just the stupid things people plug into the wall with scents that they drive me nuts. Dr. Sneller, thank you.
Yes.
He was talking about your kids could be acting out, and he goes, take anything stinky like that out and see if there's a change in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
Yeah. There's
all these studies that just what we're putting in our laundry and all of that actually does change us. So it's true. These chemicals going into the water, how do we know that it's not changing our personalities as well, our emotions?
Yeah, very true. It could very well be. I mean, I've seen all kinds of reports on some of these chemicals and things, and you never know.
Well, I know that you can taste your neighbor's laundry when they use Bounce. That fragrance goes down the whole neighborhood, around the block, up around for 2-3 miles.
And it ruins my champagne, so stop it.
It ruins the taste of our champagne, so will you please stop it, neighbors? Stop the Bounce. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
Bounce factor. But you think about that versus, you know, here's all these chemicals going into the water. I mean, that's also destroying these ecosystems. And we need the ecosystems to be strong. We really do. The stronger nature is, the stronger we are as a society, you know, human beings. We need it. We're part of it. It's like crazy. But, okay, so I want to know if someone was going to become a trial lawyer and said, okay, I'm going to do this. I really want to do this. What would be your tip to that person that said, I'm going to go study that because that's crazy. Don't do it.
Don't do it. Yeah. No, it definitely was. It's not to the faint of heart.
Yeah.
It takes dedicated this kind of work anyway. You know, you really are taking on companies who have billions at stake. They have their stock price will drop if you win the case. Their stock will go down in 33 seconds after the verdict is announced, and that's literally what happens. So they are not messing around.
Wow.
And you've got to be prepared for war. So hard work and dedication, and be prepared not to sleep too much, and to believe in what you're doing.
You should be a TV series.
Yeah, come on, be a TV series.
Yeah.
You got to do the music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, they are making. I mean, this is a whole story. I got involved just to try the cases of this DuPont case, but the whole thing really started with this farmer who couldn't find a lawyer in Parkersburg, and then he had to go to Cincinnati. It's a wild story how he ended up with this person, Rob DeLotte, who, against all odds, for 10 years stumbled onto this whole thing after working on the case for this farmer for 10 years. And then he discovered this secret trove of documents that DuPont had been withholding. And just by accident, they sent him one piece of paper that mentioned this chemical. And he was literally going through thousands and thousands of pages of documents and saw this one page that was inadvertently provided to him, and it said this word C8, and he's scratching his head, what is this? And he fought then for a couple more years to get all their documents regarding this chemical, and eventually the court forced him to turn it over, and then that's when the bells and whistles went off, and he said, you know, Eureka, I found out what they're doing to the water. And so Mark Wahlberg is playing him in this movie, they're filming right now.
Cool.
I mean, that's a great story. So there is going to be a movie.
But maybe it wasn't inadvertently put in there. Maybe somebody did it on purpose. Maybe someone who works there is like a whistleblower, and they shoved that little piece of paper in there on purpose.
Uh-oh. Here goes Nancy.
There are whistleblowers like that, and then but there's a culture at these companies where things will not end well for you if you're a whistleblower. So those people are brave.
I agree.
Jeffrey Wigand, we did tobacco litigation. I tried. That's how I started, was taking up big tobacco. And Jeffrey Wigand there was a movie about him, and taking on his, being the whistleblower at American Tobacco, talking about how they were actually manipulating the nicotine content of cigarettes to make them more addictive.
Yep. Yeah, especially for teenagers.
That's what ended up getting the tobacco industry,
And now they're going into weed. They're going to go ruin the pot industry.
Yeah.
That just sucks.
They're evil.
I know. That's the whole thing. It's so weird. It goes from the word protect. We want to protect, but they're not really. There's this protection, and it's this fake front of protection. Yet you still need the protections in there. The bills, like we were talking about. We need, the water. We need to have Clean Water Act. I mean, we can't disable that, But it's like, hey, who cares? We'll do that, and we can get away with things now. And then it's going to take 20 years to put everything back in place if we're still here. It's like, hello, but it's just interesting to me because I don't think anything that we are getting is a general public is really true. No one's being true about any of this stuff. I mean, it's like, okay, finally, let's legalize pot. Yay, people are happy. But then at the same time, we're starting to find out that half of it isn't that chemically good. There's now we're getting chemicalized pot. I don't know, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
Well,
I'm just saying.
Just asking.
Yeah, there's a thing going on now that basically, now everything's going to be chemicalized. As soon as anything gets a wrapper around it, you better know it's got chemicals. As soon as it's packaged, just think it's that way.
Yep.
It's bizarre. It's really bizarre. Okay, so we're going to play Nothing Ever Goes as Planned. But before you go, Gary, and it's just been such a pleasure having you on the show.
So
just really respect what you do and just like power to you and anything that any of us can ever do to help in any way. We're all here. Like, I don't know what we can do, but we're here.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me on. It was a great. I had a great time. I appreciate it. And there are also just straight kick-ass rock and roll songs on the album too, just in case we depressed everybody.
I know it is the whole album. You've got to listen to the whole album. It's so good. But what is your champagne toast? You see, we always have our toast here. We can't always be talking about chemicals. The only good chemical is champagne right now. But what is your toast?
My toast is to love one another and for a kinder and gentler country.
Yeah, I agree. A big magnum to
that.
Well, here it is, everyone. Nothing Ever Goes as Planned. Go get the album Deep in the Water. It is driving good music. It is good, and I hope one day we all get to see you perform live. Like, I know you're touring right now. You've Lost Lonely Boys, Dawn of the Buffalo. So everyone, if you go to GaryDouglasBand.com, you can keep up with his live shows. You can get the music, watch the lyric videos. There's videos too, and connect with the songs deeper and get deep in the water. It's a good album. I'm so glad we got you on the show before the year closes. And here it is. Nothing Ever Goes as Planned. Thanks so much, Gary.
Thanks,
you
Gary.
take care.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Power to you.
All right. Bye-bye.
There's a war out on the streets, spilling blood and minds don't meet. You get your head blown up these days. Lord, there's gotta be a better way to separate fact from fake. It's getting harder just to get it straight. And nothing ever goes as planned here in the promised land. Nothing ever goes as planned. No, nothing ever goes as planned. We used to work hard 9 to 5, beg, borrow, steal, survive. There's people dying on the streets again just for the cover of their skin, like that uniform you're in. You spark the flame, curly eye, another rubber here, my streets on fire. But nothing ever goes as planned here in the promised land. Nothing ever goes as planned. No, nothing ever goes as planned. All the promises we depended on have come and gone while we're still young. While we're still young. And we're still young. Nothing ever